I've often encountered and continue to see between a tank's engine power and its a direct correlation. Is this correct? Why do you think this is? For quite a long time, the Scorpion tank, developed by British designers in 1967 and entering production in 1971, was considered the fastest in the world. This combat vehicle was indeed highly maneuverable and reached speeds of up to 80 kilometers per hour. But production ceased in 1996 after more than 1,800 units had been built. To determine the fastest tank, we consider the top 5 most advanced combat vehicles from various countries. Let's pay tribute to the old Scorpion and tell you a little about it. This tank is classified as a light reconnaissance tank. It is also called a combat reconnaissance vehicle, or BRM for short. It's worth noting that the Scorpion is still in service with many armies. It stands out for its compact size, maneuverability, and high speed. This vehicle is equipped with an engine produced by the renowned Jaguar company. It is capable of producing 195 horsepower. This power output propels the tank to a speed of 80 kilometers per hour, making it one of the fastest tanks in the world. Scorpion's dimensions are hull length 4.79 meters, hull width 2.24 meters, height 2.1 meters. Ground clearance is 356 millimeters. The exact thickness of the tank's armor is unknown, but it is assumed to range from 20 to 60 millimeters. The Scorpion is equipped with a semi-automatic cannon with a barrel diameter of 76 millimeters, mounted in the front of the turret. Now let's move on to our ranking. 5th place is occupied by the Challenger 2, which translates from English as rival, challenging. This is the main battle tank of the British ground forces, which, so to speak, took over from the Scorpion. This tank is also in service with the Omani Army. It is expected that tanks of this model will remain in service until 2035. It should be noted that the tank's hull is exactly the same as that of the Challenger 1, but the design has incorporated over 150 improvements to its components and mechanisms, primarily aimed at increasing the tank's reliability. The tank's turret has a completely new shape. The tank's armor protection has been reinforced, so the Challenger 2 currently has the highest armor protection compared to all NATO tanks. The tank's main armament is a 120mm Ordnance Royal L30 rifled cannon. The computerized fire control system is a highly improved system from the M1A1 Abrams tank, which allows for further modernization. Development of the tank began in November 1986. In June 1991, the tank was approved for service with the Royal Army. Are exported to Greece, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. Adapted to the climate of each country. In January 2004, the tank's developer received an order to retrofit combat vehicles with new L-55 cannons, the same ones installed on German Leopard tanks. This allows for the standardization of ammunition within NATO. All cannons are equipped with a French-made stabilized panoramic sight mounted on the roof of the turret. A thermal imager is provided for night combat to monitor fire. The thermal imager is mounted inside an armored casing above the gun barrel. The turret is rotated electrically. The elimination of the oil pressure drive is due to safety and increased reliability. The tank features stealth technology for stealth when scanned by airborne radars. Incidentally, friends, we talked in detail about stealth in our episode titled Stealth, including how it works and what's inside stealth technology. Watch it if you haven't been able to for some reason before. We'll continue. The Challenger 2 tank's power plant is a 12-cylinder diesel engine producing 1,200 horsepower from Perkins Engines Shrewsbury Limited. The transmission is a TN54 model with 6 forward gears and 2 reverse gears. The maximum road speed is 59 km per hour and the average off-road speed is 40 km per hour. Fourth place goes to the Merkava Mark IV from Israel. Chariot. This is how the word Merkava is translated from Hebrew. The first Merkava Mk1 tank was produced in 1974. The latest modification of the tank is the Merkava Mk4. The Merkava tank development program was approved in August 1970, shortly after Britain refused to sell Chieftain tanks to Israel. Major General Israel Tal headed the design work. Unusually for a global organization. Tal was not an engineer, but a combat officer who had fought in all the Arab-Israeli wars. During the Six-Day War, he commanded one of the 3 armored columns that routed Egyptian forces in Sinai. In the late 1960s, he assumed the post of commander of the Israel Defense Forces Armored Forces. Friends, what do you think? Should ordinary military personnel, not engineers, try their hand at developing equipment and weapons? Throughout 1972, the concept of placing the engine and transmission compartment forward on a converted Centurion tank was tested. The first 2 prototypes were built in December 1974. The first 4 production tanks were handed over to the IDF in April. In October of that year, the Merkava Mk1 was officially accepted into service. A distinctive feature of the tank is its layout, with the engine and transmission compartment located in the front of the hull. This design provides additional crew protection. A unique feature of the Merkava is the presence of a compartment in the rear, used for transporting troops or wounded. Compartment can also accommodate additional equipment. This feature essentially turns the Merkava into a universal combat vehicle, depending on the combat situation. The tactical roles of a tank, an armored personnel carrier, or an infantry fighting vehicle. The compartment has an armored door in the rear, allowing the crew to exit the tank from the rear in critical situations. The tank is powered by an American, air-cooled, turbocharged Continental AVDS 1795A diesel engine. The diesel engine is a turbocharged 900 horsepower AVDS 1790 engine. Similar to that used in the American M60 tanks, the Israeli Centurion, and the M48. The transmission is also American, Allison CD 850-6B, but modernized. The suspension is independent, spring-loaded, Christie type, 6 rubber-coated. Road wheels with a diameter of 790 mm and 5 support rollers are mounted on each side. 2 of these support the upper track section at the part furthest from the hull, and 3 at the closest. The suspension elements are located on the outside of the hull. Telescopic hydraulic shock absorbers are mounted on 2 front and 2 rear suspension units. The dynamic travel of the road wheels is 210 mm. Each suspension unit is attached to the hull with 4 bolts and can be quickly replaced if damaged due to a mine explosion. The drive sprockets are located at the front. The elimination of the torsion bar suspension allowed for a smooth, curved hull bottom, which, along with spaced armor plating, increases the hull's protection during a mine detonation. The balance beams of the odd-numbered rollers are directed toward the front of the tank, and the even-numbered rollers are directed toward the rear. Therefore, the external suspension units are arranged in pairs to form 3 bogies, which can be misleading. Some sources claim the Merkava has a balance beam spring suspension, although it is actually independent. The tracks are all metal with open hinges. The track width is 640 mm. The number of tracks per track is 4.52 meters. The chassis is covered by 6-section armored shields made of steel. The shields can be folded upward to access the suspension components. In 2012, the Ministry of Defense formed a team led by retired Brigadier General Didio, which was to be responsible for developing a future tank for the Israel Defense Forces. Industry and the Ground Forces Command were asked to express their opinions on what this tank should look like. It was envisioned to be lighter, smaller, with an automatic loader and a two-man crew, and to have a modular weapon system, comprising various types, including missiles. In September 2013, the Israel Defense website reported that the Israeli Ministry of Defense, as part of a new multi-year development plan, decided to consider possible alternatives and abandon the development of the Merkava V model, continuing production of the Merkava Mk4. The next generation will not be the Merkava 5, but a tank with different firepower, protection, and propulsion characteristics. It was later decided to return to the Mk4. Third place goes to the M1A2 Abrams, USA. The tank's mission is to close in on enemy forces and destroy them using maneuverability, low power, and surprise. It is in service with tank and reconnaissance battalions. Instead of new production, the Army modernized 1,000 outdated M1 Abrams to the M1A2 standard. This significantly reduced vulnerability by adding redundant components and dispersing data transmission and power supply systems. The main distinguishing features of the M1A2 Abrams, which distinguish it from its predecessor, are the IVS Information System, the Commander's Independent Thermal Imager, CITV, the POS Nav Positioning and Navigation System, the improved ICWS Fire Control Panel, dual redundancy of the MILST 1553D data transmission devices, and a common bus. In 1999, the CP Improvement Package, which included the second generation, was launched into serial production. Germany. The history of the Leopard tank began back in 1956. This tank has undergone many changes. The Leopard 2A7, which entered service with the German Army in 2014, is distinguished by its high speed. It is equipped with a 1,500 horsepower engine. The Leopard 2A7 can reach a road speed of 72 kilometers per hour. This tank is the seventh and final modification of the Leopard 2 tank. It differs from the previous Leopard 2A6 version by improved mine protection and add-on elements that protect the turret, the front of the hull, and 2/3 of the side from shells. Improved communication systems, implementation of digital turret technology, the addition of modern shells to the ammunition loadout, and a number of other innovations. With each new modification, the tank increased its weight. The latest version weighs approximately 70 tons. The Leopard 2.7 is armed with a 120 mm cannon. The dimensions of this tank are hull length 7.7 meters, hull width 3.7 meters, height 2.79. First place, T-14 Armata, Russia. The T-14 Armata main battle tank is the only third-generation post-war tank in the world. It is a completely Russian development. For more details on the tank itself, watch our episode titled T-14.